I get asked all the time. I go around and I talk to businesses, and they know my background, military, and they say, Colonel McCulloch, you know a lot about leadership, but you know military leadership. And I say, are you crazy? I said, leadership is leadership. I don't care where you practiced it. I don't care where you learned it. If you can lead people, because that's what leadership is about, you can lead any organization. And I kind of proved that. I retired from the Army after 23 years, and then I ran a food bank for a couple years. You don't get any different than that. Combat arms officer running a food bank. So if you can lead people, you can lead anything. It's not about flow charts. It's not about organizational charts. It certainly is not about technology. Now, you got to use those things. I got that. And it isn't even about bottom line. It's not about profit. Because if you do it right, you're going to make profit. So that shouldn't come into it. It is about people. That is what leadership's about. And it really is. So then we get to the trust piece. Because if you're dealing with people, they got to trust you. So to me, the trust is really the glue that holds everything together. If that isn't there, it doesn't matter what else you do. Because it is all about people and trust. And I'll give you a couple examples. Right now, not going to say anything about the UK. In America right now, there is no trust. We don't trust the government. We don't trust the media. We don't even trust our military anymore. There was a poll about 3 months ago that said that the trust, American people's trust in the United States military is the lowest it has been since the Vietnam War. How did we get to that point? By not telling the truth, not doing the things that leaders with integrity do. And my first experience in war was the first Gulf War back in 1990. And I'm sure you guys remember a guy named General Colin Powell, who was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, who served as a young lieutenant in Vietnam. And the first thing he said when he came out, when the war, we decided we were going to Saudi Arabia and we were going to fight that war, is he promised the American people he would never lie to them. Because that's what destroyed the trust in the first place in the military. And it took a long time to build it back. So it really is the glue that holds everything together. And right now we're having problems in the military, in our government, in a lot of different businesses in America. And it's because of the trust issue. We were just talking, right now we can't recruit people in the United States military. The Army missed its mission by 23,000 people last year. The Navy missed it by 10,000. The Air Force missed it by 12,000. And we in the Army were offering a $50,000 sign-up bonus and still couldn't get people to sign up. That's trust. That's what that is all about. It's that glue that holds everything together. And when it's gone, it takes a long time to get it back. It isn't easy to build back that trust. When I talk to people about trust, I talk about a 360-degree trust. Because it isn't just one way. It certainly is the leader, the people that you lead have to trust the leader. That's guaranteed. That has to happen or nothing else goes on. But also the leader has to trust the people that you lead. That's what allows that leader-led relationship to happen. If that relationship isn't there, then there's no way you can lead people, at least not efficiently and effective. But then it's also, the other piece of that a lot of us forget is it's about the people who work in your organization have to trust each other. Vince Lombardi, who was arguably, and I would say not even arguably, he was the greatest American football coach that ever coached. And he always used to say that a team is not a group of people who play together. A team is a group of people who trust each other. Because it all comes down to that. Even on a playing field, it doesn't matter, pick a profession, it doesn't matter. You have to have that trust. So it's the leader-led, the led leader, and then the people inside your organization have to trust each other. And then I always take it one step further. It's not just your organization, and Dan kind of talked about this, it's now you're talking about the people that you're dealing with, your customers, anybody outside your organization. They have to have that trust in your organization because they're not going to do business with you if they don't trust you, I promise. They'll go somewhere else that they do trust. So it really is that 360-degree trust that you got to work on. And it's not easy. It's the things you have to do are easy. Actually doing them sometimes is hard, okay? So one of the things that I think is a key element in trust is being a servant leader. That's what my book is about. That's what my talk is about being a servant leader. As Jeff said, or Dan said, I've had my hands in training future leaders. Over the last 16 years, I've been involved in commissioning over 550 lieutenants for the United States Army to lead in the Army and our nation. And one of the things that I always tell them, the day they get commissioned, I always tell them, enjoy today, because today is all about you. But after today, when we pin those bars on your shoulder, it will never be about you ever again, ever. It's about your soldiers, it's about the mission, it's about the unit, it's about the nation. And then if we have time, we might talk about you, okay? Because leadership is not a position. And if you want to be the leader because you want the title or the privileges or the money, go do something else, because you're not going to be a good leader. It is about how you treat the people who you have the privilege to lead. And it is a privilege to be a leader. And so I try to get that into them right from the very beginning, that it isn't about you, and yet it's all about you. It's not about you and all those things you get, but it is all about you and how you treat the people that you get to lead and the organization that you get to lead. So I always say the first thing is, and we kind of touched that already today, is be the example. You have to set that example in integrity, in character. One day somebody asked me, who really didn't know a whole lot about the military, he comes up to me and says, what do you really do? And I said, as a leader in the Army, I looked at my number one job every single day was to make everybody I was leading want to be like me. Set the example for them. Do the things. Do the right thing. That's easier said than done, because sometimes the right thing is not in your best interest. And I've been there. I've done that. But you still got to do the right thing, even if it's not in your interest. Because if they ever catch you not doing the right thing, you're done. Trust is gone. And again, it's very, very hard to get back. Can it be won back? Absolutely, but it isn't easy to get it back. So you got to be that example. I was talking to Jeff last night, and I said, you really do have to be that moral and ethical compass for that organization. Make them, the people who work for you are just like your kids. They will do what you let them do. If you hold them to a standard and make them do good things, they'll do good things. If you let them do bad things, I promise you, they're going to do bad things. So you got to be that, really, that moral and ethical compass for your organization to do the right things. It really comes down to building a community, because again, it's about people. And so you got to get, part of that is that you have to get to know the people that you have the privilege to lead. And part of that also is, if you're getting to know them, you got to let them get to know you as well. And I tell people one of the easiest ways to do that is just to get out of your office and go out and walk around and talk to people. And I had a boss who retired a 3-star general, so obviously way smarter than me. And he told me one day, he said, Oak, never, ever, ever turn down a chance to go get your own cup of coffee. Says 2 things happen when you do that. Number 1, you show the people that work for you that you're no better than they are. You got to go get your own cup of coffee just like they do. He said, and if you're lucky, you got 2 or 3 different ways to get to the coffee pot and back to your office, and along the way you stop and talk to people. And actually talk and listen to them. Ask them questions about, not about work. Ask them, what's their spouse's name? What's their kid's name? What sports do their kids play? What hobbies do they have? What do they like, what do they don't like? If you don't get to know the people that you have the privilege to lead, then you don't know what their strengths and weaknesses are. And you're going to assign somebody a task that isn't fit for them. Whereas if you know them, you can divide up those tasks to people that can get those things done for you. So it really is a community that you have to build. And I hear this all the time. I have a buddy who lives there in Daytona Beach, and he runs a business, and he's got 250 people that work for him. And he told me, he said, Oak, you know what my biggest problem was? He said, my people, besides the fact they don't know me or didn't know me, they don't even know each other. They know the name because they send emails back and forth or text messages back and forth. But if Jeff walked up to him and they wouldn't even know who he was. He said, and this is how I fixed it. He said, I have a no text, no email, no phone call Friday. Every Friday, inside our building, now if you're dealing with somebody outside the building, different story. But if inside the building, you cannot send a text, you cannot send an email, and you can't make a phone call. If you want to go talk to Jeff, you go talk to Jeff. He said, huge difference immediately. People actually started talking to each other and learning about each other. And then he added on to that once a month he had a little social event that people could come to, which then caused them to talk and get to know each other better. So it really is about a community, and it takes effort. It takes time, effort to build that community, but it pays off a lot. Then build that common understanding, and that starts with onboarding, obviously. You got to start building that culture, bringing them into that culture, because it's about culture and trust. In the Army, we had this thing called a command philosophy. So every time you took command of a group of people, you put out your philosophy, written, posted on the board so everybody could see it. And in there, what I always like to put in mind, and I took that into my civilian jobs at the food bank as a government service officer, I still put out a command philosophy. And I put the mission and the vision, and then I had some things that were flat rules that would not accept. And then I added on to that what I expected of them, and more importantly, what they could expect from me. So everybody has a common understanding of what is expected in that organization. And I will tell you, if you start doing that, I think you will see people's eyes open up and people start to understand what their part of your organization is. You can have the best vision in the world and the best plan in the world, but if the people who are actually going to execute it, and that's not you, it's the people who work for you, if they don't understand their part in it, how can they get you there? Okay? Happy to talk more about all that during the fireside chat at the social, but I think my 15 minutes is up. And I'll move on to the next. Thanks for having me here.